Hi there, I'm Phil Moore, and I thought I'd do something a bit different today. It's been 6 months since I launched this channel, and I thought it's time I let you all know who I actually am, for those who care, for the 5 people that are actually watching. I'll give you a bit of my background. When I started this, about 6 months ago, I initially launched it as a way to promote and do some tutorials behind the scenes type stuff for my upcoming film of Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus, a musical version of Frankenstein. But that's still down the track. I won't be doing anything more on that for quite a while. I've yet to raise all the money, in fact. But I've done a lot of preparation work for it. The script is written, the music's written, etc. But the first video that I put out after that initial announcement was a comparison of a number of Frankenstein films, comparing them to each other and to the novel. And that did quite well for a first video, essentially. It's now up to 9 point something thousand views over the course of the 6 months. Not gangbusters, but pretty good. Every video since then has not done nearly as well. And I made a decision fairly early on, well, do I want to be a channel that devotes itself to Frankenstein and horror movies and that kind of stuff, which I can do to some extent. And I have made a sequel to that, a follow-up to Frankenstein movies. Or do I want to do a channel that's more focused on the filmmaking craft, on the behind the scenes and the storytelling, which is what I wanted this channel to be in the first place. So that's been my focus the last 6 months. The essential movies videos and the story analysis videos are looking at existing films in terms of their story structure and character arcs and everything else. It's pitched primarily at budding filmmakers, at film students. But I know of you watching perhaps are not would-be filmmakers, you're just film fans, and that's fine as well. But I do much more than straightforward filmmaking and screenwriting. For those who don't know, and most of you probably don't know, I teach screenwriting and directing primarily, as well as sometimes editing and sound at various film schools. I'm currently teaching at a TAFE here in Sydney, anything from a Cert 3 up to a diploma and sometimes advanced diploma levels. I have a master's in writing, which I got recently. You don't need a degree like this in writing to be a good writer, but I got it so I could teach at a higher level. I am a filmmaker. I've made 3 feature films to date. I've made a whole bunch of shorts, but I'm also a novelist. I've now self-published 3 novels. I'm working on another one at the moment, and a composer, and I release my stuff under the name of Guffnasm. If you look at the links that are in the channel description, they're all there. If you go to philmoore.net, you'll find links to all of this kind of stuff and to many of my videos. And I'm 64 years old, so I've been doing this for a while. But as a person that wears many creative hats, so to speak, I also do musical theatre. I've also played in bands back in the day. I do lots of different things. Nowadays, I'm focusing more on the music and the novel writing and this YouTube channel. This channel primarily was set up for, as I said, promoting my next film that I hope to make. And once that happens, showing you the behind the scenes of that process. But it's also a way of extending my teaching capacity, trying to take what I do in class and bring it to the world, in effect. The niche I've chosen, to begin with at least, is script analysis, story analysis, screenwriting. I had done a few videos that are more filmmaking tips and tricks, more about directing and camera coverage and that kind of thing, and how to work in the industry. I've made a couple on those. They haven't done very well, but again, it's early days. I don't know if that's what people want to see. I'm still working out what people want to see. So for the dozen of people or so who actually watch this video, do feel free to leave a comment and tell me if they're working for you, if you enjoy them, or what else you'd like to see me make. I could do a whole channel potentially on music, the history of music, on my approach to music production and the kind of stuff I make. I could do a whole channel potentially on novels and book writing and the self-publishing industry. But there are many other channels doing that kind of stuff, and they're doing it quite well. I tend to watch a lot of them, in fact. But if anyone is interested in my take on that kind of stuff, feel free to let me know. Also, musical theatre. There's not many channels doing musical theatre. There's a couple of half-decent ones out there now, but there's, apart from interviews with people who are behind the scenes and make theatre, there's very little on YouTube, at least that I've found, about the process of writing it and creating it and staging it. Now, I'm not Broadway, I'm not West End. I come from a very small indie film, indie theatre background. All of my stuff is very low budget, right? So that's where I'm coming from. And while I have been a cinematographer, I don't count myself as a cinematographer. I'm not a DOP. I just know cameras a bit. I know how to frame a shot. I know sound very well because of my music background. And I've done sound design for my own films and for other people. But again, everything I do is from a low budget indie perspective. And everything that I've made to date has gone nowhere, right? There is no massive audience for the stuff I make. I've entered into festivals, my films. I've approached, way back in the day, I approached record companies, things like that. I did have a writing agent at one point. I currently have an acting agent, and occasionally I'll get an acting job. I did a recent one for a Vertical series, which I hope no one sees, but I got paid for it. So every now and then something like that comes up every 6 months or so. But the bread and butter for me is teaching, after all, and that's what pays the rent. Everything else I make, the films, the music, the books, I get royalties from these occasionally. Every quarter, a few dollars dribble in. It's not much. It's certainly not enough to live on, but that's fine. I don't mind. I'm not trying to make a fortune off my creative efforts. At this age, I've given up on that. I'm no longer a spring chicken wanting to be a rock star. I just want to make the stuff I want to make and put it out there. And if people respond, great. If they don't, doesn't matter. I'll move on to the next thing and just make it because I need to write. I need to create. And the simplest and cheapest way to do that these days for someone like me is I can't show you right now, but I've got keyboards and, a whole little mini studio on the other side of this camera. But I make all the music here with occasionally some guest performers playing guitar or something like that. But it's all me when it comes down to it. Guffnasm, my band, is all me, really. Likewise with the books, I can write them, I can edit them, I can do the cover art myself, and I self-publish them. I do it all myself. Now, you might well say, well, you should have someone else helping to edit. You should have someone else doing the cover art. Yeah, I know, but I can't afford that, and I really enjoy doing it myself. And after all these years, I'm pretty good at it, right? Now, admittedly, the cover art for my latest books is AI generated. Say what you will of that. But I'm not putting a designer out of work because I would not have hired a designer in the first place. For better or worse, I'll do it myself. Same with the music. I produce it, I record it, I do the whole thing myself. So that's just me. I'm one of those jacks of all trades. The main talent that I have arguably is I may not be great at anything in particular, but I am great at putting it all together because I do so many different things. Likewise with my screenwriting, I've written, as I said, several features, one of which is a pro shoot of my stage musical, A Voyage to Arcturus, and dozens of shorts. And I've got lots of other screenplays that have not yet been produced. That's fine. They won't get sold. They probably won't get made. I might adapt them into a novel. I've already done that with one of them, The Time Rippers. That was originally a screenplay. In fact, all of the novels, Terra Utopia, Return of the Prophet, they were at one point screenplays. But I thought, make a book of it. At least I can get it out there for anyone who wants to read them. And they're selling okay, And then there's also the non-fiction filmmaking book, Fuck Art, Just Tell the Story, which I gently promote at the end of every one of my videos. It is expensive. It's high quality paper. It's large. It's full color. It's hardbound. It's meant to be a reference work for the rest of your life. It's designed to be the kind of thing you can always go back to. It talks about fundamental principles and not specific gear or software or cameras. And covers everything from, everything I teach, screenwriting, directing, editing, etc., etc. And again, it's selling occasionally, but that's fine. It's out there. It's available to people who might want it. This channel is not yet monetized. I hope to get it monetized. I'm, a third of the way there, perhaps. What's my subscriber count at the moment? I'm up to, as I record this, I've released 46 videos. This will be my 47th. And I've got, 267 subscribers. Okay, so that's roughly a quarter of the way to what I need to get monetized, and I'll hit the view count before then. But I'm getting roughly one new subscriber every video. At that rate, it'll take several years. Hopefully, there'll be a couple of videos that will take off and speed things along. But I'm not relying on being monetized on YouTube to make a living. I'm not relying on potential money from this channel to survive and retire from my teaching job. I am, however, I'll mention this now, I am setting up a Patreon. I've had it there for ages, but it's not really done anything, but I'm kind of relaunching that as well. And I've realized any videos that I make for this channel, which get copyright struck, and therefore I can't show on YouTube, and there's 3 so far, I'm going to put them on the Patreon. So if anyone wants to sign up for the Patreon, you'll get to see, initially at this stage, it's Spirited Away, Interstellar, which is available to my US audience, but nowhere else. And a very recent one that I did on Dead Poets Society, which, again, I'm not allowed to release on YouTube because of copyright reasons. Most of the ones I do release on YouTube that do get cleared, they nevertheless get flagged for copyright. So I'm not going to make money off them anyway. So again, until I start doing stuff that's not about film analysis, there won't be much money in this channel for me in any case. And as I look, my one on the Movie Network has just released this morning as of a couple of hours ago. And aside from my own view, myself checking it, it's had 1 view. Okay. But in a couple of days, by the end of the day or into tomorrow, it might do okay. The last one, which was because Gene Hackman had passed, The French Connection, it's up to 372 views at the moment in 6 days. And that's kind of where things are sitting at the moment. I've only got, apart from the Frankenstein, there's only 1 video that's reached 1,000, and that's Shawshank Redemption, and it took a while to get there. But look, the channel is growing. The point of this video is to let you know a bit of who I am, what my background is, and to ask you, if you really do enjoy these videos, subscribe, like, do all of that kind of stuff, and leave a comment here if you can. And the comments I have had to date, which have been largely positive, about these specific videos that they're commenting on, which is great. Here's a chance to comment on the channel as a whole. Are they working for you? What other stuff would you like to see? One thing I do hope to do when I've got enough subscribers, maybe when I hit that 1,000 number or 5,000 or something, is to start doing some Q&A live streams, which I'd like to call Pick My Brain. I've done this in the past in podcasts that I used to do. We can ask me anything about filmmaking, music, books, being a creative artist, how to survive, specific questions. I've done this on occasion, as I said, in podcasts that I've run in the past. I've done this in Zooms and other more closed meetings with people. There was a festival, and during the COVID years, there was an online festival of musical theatre in New York. And they asked me to host a session on how to put on a show independently and how to get it filmed, which is what I had done with Voyage to Arcturus. So I'm happy to answer any of those sorts of questions, and hopefully we'll build enough of an audience here that I can do a regular live Q&A for that kind of stuff. I'm also planning on maybe eventually doing a more in-depth, detailed online course on screenwriting, kind of along the lines that I'm teaching at my college, but I can't do that right now. But who knows? In a year or so, I'll put that together if there's enough interest in that. For now, of course, there is the book, and you're welcome to buy the book. Again, sales pitch. You don't have to if you don't want to. Just keep watching the video channel if you can't afford it. One thing about my approach to this channel, again, for those who care about this stuff, I hate those, people pulling faces and pointing at things, kind of YouTube thumbnails. I did a couple of those way back in the day, and I thought, they're stupid. I don't like them. I'm not ever going to make a thumbnail of me pulling faces and pointing at things. And while I do subscribe to a couple of things like vidIQ, which is a very good channel for YouTubers and supporting how to best approach a YouTube channel, some of the advice there, which is quite valid, and I have taken that on board. There's other things like how to do the thumbnails, how to do the titles for your videos. I'd just rather do it my way, for better or worse. And as you can see from some of my most recent videos, I've stopped doing the greatest film of all time kind of stuff, clickbaity titles. I'm just using a quote from the film And I'm seeing if that works as a way of intriguing people enough to watch the video. And apart from this video, I try to avoid rambling in mine. They're fairly tightly edited. So I don't talk about myself at all in these. I avoid that. I'm talking about the film, after all. So that's it. End of ramble, I guess. I don't expect this video will do very well. But again, if you like this kind of stuff, let me know. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you want to. There is the link to the book below and to my other stuff in the channel description. I'll also include a link for the Patreon, which I'm starting to relaunch. So sign up for that if you'd really like to support me and see some other stuff that I can't show on YouTube. And potentially there'll be other stuff on the Patreon, of course, for members. Thanks all for watching. I'll see you next time.